Hi, I'm Nick Regine, the Professor of Crystal. Welcome to this episode of Ask the Professor. Today I have Pat Riesenburger with me. And Pat is one of our Create Your Style ambassadors and also the owner of UrbanStitchStudio.com. Pat, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's great that you're here. Pat, today I'm going to actually ask you some questions because normally when our customers build something, they really want to know how they market it and how they sell it. So if you would give us your insight into that, I'd appreciate it.
All right. Well, I've definitely been in the trenches. I started out in the industry years ago. I owned a bead store back in the day before the internet was even a gleam in Al Gore's eye. And so we really had to get creative if we wanted people to learn about us, to hear about us. From there, I moved into gallery work, selling my pieces in galleries, dabbled in Etsy, and now I primarily teach. So I've been through the gamut, and I've learned a thing or two along the way about getting my brand out and getting it noticed. So for those of you out there who are thinking about selling your products, one of the things that you need to do before you take any steps is decide where you want to go. Is this something you want to do for pin money, or do you really want to you want to be on the cover of Time magazine as the Swarovski crystal queen? There's a lot of ways to operate, whether you're doing it for pin money or really trying to pay your bills and be self-supporting.
Okay. So a lot of our DIY customers says it's really tough for them to price their work. Do you have any recommendations?
I think that when it comes to pricing, many artists have a tendency to either overprice their work or significantly underprice their work. For example, if I'm doing a bracelet like this ornate bracelet over here, the first time I did a bracelet such as this, it took me about a month. It wasn't as nearly well done, but because it was new to me, I would have priced it at $2,000 because that was the amount of time that it took me. Well, now I've got it down, I can do them in my sleep, and for the same bracelet, even with the cost of the crystals, it would probably not retail for more than $250. But I can get it done easily in my free time in the course of a week, and for me, that's enough. I've covered my costs, and I'm only working on that. Really, it's got about 20 hours into it. So while I'm not paying myself as well as I would were I a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, I'm able to do the laundry, run in and pet my dog, set my own hours, and have a really nice quality of life. So it works for me.
And you're doing something that you love.
Exactly. But in terms of the nuts and bolts, things to consider, what are the costs? What are the cost of goods in that piece? Anyone who seriously wants to go into selling their work needs to be aware of finding wholesale vendor sources. I see a lot of crafters who have a very simple earring design that they've priced very, very high, and the reason is because they're buying their materials at a retail cost as opposed to establishing wholesale relationships. So that's probably the most important thing in terms of getting a good price point. You also want to take into account how much time you're spending on your piece. Years ago, the big rage were the Christmas tree earrings. Do you remember with the 3,700 margaritas? I mean, every woman was making Christmas tree earrings. Well, that's a product that takes maybe 5 minutes to make. So even if you've got $5, $10 in the crystal, it doesn't seem reasonable to price a product like that at $50. You're not going to sell as many as if you were to bring it down to a more reasonable level.
So it's really just a balance of what you're using in your time.
It absolutely is a balancing act. And one of the best bits of advice I can give you in that regard is to go online. Do a search on Etsy, which is the retail, it's a great site for those of you not familiar with it. It's a wonderful way to market your product. It's basically a craft website, it's like eBay for artists. And see what similar work is selling for, and that will establish your ceiling. I find that most of the money is going to come from how low you can get the floor. It's all about cost.
Great.
Okay. The other thing that once we've got the pricing, so now you have a product that you like, you're happy with it, you've established a price that you think is fair, that you're willing to sell for. Your friends are buying it, your mother's buying it, but now you want the general public to buy it. So you've got to get into real marketing. Marketing is all about relationship building. It's a big marketplace, and generally folks can find a lot of different bracelets to buy. Why are they going to buy my cuff? Okay, generally it's because they want to deal with me, they like dealing with me, they know my story, they know my brand. And today it's impossible to get that level of branding without cultivating a degree of success in social media.
Okay.
And by social media, I'm talking about having a website, utilizing Facebook, blogging regularly, discovering Pinterest.
Yep.
Are you familiar with
I
Pinterest?
am.
Okay, and even customer newsletters. The one social media tool that many big brands use very effectively is Twitter. You've got to have a web presence.
So those are definitely 5 tools for a customer to use to get their brand out there.
Absolutely. And I would say that the first thing you want to do is have a website. Nowadays, you can go to a site like Volusion or some of the other ones, Network Solutions.
Okay.
And for a very small monthly fee, they will provide a hosting service that you just have to fill out a template, $9 a month, you've got a website.
Wow. So Pat, what are the elements of a good website?
Well, I think there are certain characteristics that are true of every website that you want to strive for. It needs to be clean and well organized. People should not have to search for the home button in order to go back. It should be clear and easy to find. You want to have a very cohesive brand that you're promoting. I see some artists that will, for example, have pictures of the teddy bears that they make right next to the crystal bracelets that they're selling. And I find that that's kind of a mishmash. They should have 2 websites in such a scenario when they're dealing with product lines that are very diverse. Probably the most critical element of a good website is relative to the quality of the photographs. You want to have pictures that are bright, that are colorful, that are clean, that are in focus, so that people can really see the kind of work that you do.
Yep.
And I find that especially with Pinterest becoming so popular, people have a tendency to visit your website and pin directly from your website to their Pinterest account, and that is a nice way to get lots of search engines realizing that you are an active participant in cyberspace and that you want to be noticed. There are 2 ways to have a website, either as a brochure site that basically says, here I am, this is what I do, or you can have a shopping cart site, and that's where you're putting your merchandise directly online and people are buying from your site. A hybrid of the 2, and that's what I use, is where my site will link to my Etsy account. Okay, so I've set it up as a brochure site that will take people into the place where they can spend money. Okay, all right.
That's important.
Okay. Facebook is another tool, and most folks are familiar with Facebook with regard to their friends and family and posting dog pictures and that sort of thing. But a Facebook business page is really critical to most brands nowadays, even the small independent artist. I'm on it every day. I mean, it gets a lot of traffic to my site and a lot of traffic to my blog.
So Pat, people love to blog, and I know you're a huge blogger, so any info on that?
I'm a talker, so I'm a blogger. I know that actually it seems like a lot of people, a lot of artist friends of mine hate blogging, and they refer to it as cleaning the toilet. They don't want to do it. And I have to say, of all of the things that I do, what drives the most traffic to my website and to dollars is the blogging. Okay? I cannot overstate the importance of blogging regularly. The idea is I want to give something of value out to the reader to bring them back. If I'm only talking about, here's what I made, buy it, that's not going to make a connection. You know, I need to make this a fun experience for the reader, not just a positive financial experience for me.
So you really want them to know a bit about your life, not too much, nothing really too personal?
Well, I think my husband would say that I probably let them know too much, but have established rapport with my readers, and I think that that's what you're going for. And so they know about Cooper, the dog that eats the couches. You know, they know about just the silliness that is my life. It makes it more fun to work with them later. You know, you want to have that engaging relationship. All right, just as there is a certain degree of etiquette when you're dealing with customers in a store, there's actually etiquette in cyber world as well. When people come to my blog and they are kind enough to read it and comment on it, I want to make sure that I respond to those comments, let them know that I heard what they were saying, and offer up my own little comment back. I also like to go out into other blogs, and I spend usually 2 or 3 hours every week, generally first thing in the morning, going and reading literally hundreds of blogs, scanning through to see if there's anything that is particularly interesting or pertinent to me. And I make sure that I comment on those blogs as well.
So Pat, any other ways to connect?
There are always ways to connect. One of the most effective ways I have found is through newsletters, email newsletter blasts. When I had my retail store, I would be sending those out once a week, because you've got to build an active email list.
Okay.
And that puts the onus on you. I don't, collect cards for everywhere you go. Make sure you're giving out cards everywhere you go. And put together an Excel database so that you know who is interested in scarves, who is interested in jewelry only. And so I might have 6 or 7 email lists, 6 or 7 different emails that go out targeting the particular end user.
What I normally do is when I go to a trade show and somebody gives me their business card, I write on the top of the business card where I met them, maybe something about them, just so when I pull that back out, it kind of gives me a visual of their face and where I met them. No, I don't want to say I met them 2 years ago when it was a week ago. So.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you just to add on to that, I find that I like to take pictures when I go someplace so that I can then use that as an excuse to email. Here's a copy of a picture we took together. It was so nice meeting you. And it's another way to establish that rapport and get the word out.
That's a great tip.
But one of the things that I want to mention, because we've talked a little bit about, I notice that my traffic is coming from here, or I'm seeing that people are coming from here. A lot of people may not know, well, how do you know that? How do you know where your traffic is coming from? And I use 2 tools that I find very, very helpful. One is called statcounter.com, and the other is Alexa. And what it tells me is I put a little code onto the pages that I want it to monitor, so I have it on my blog, I have it on my website, and it will tell me where my viewers are coming from. And the cool thing about both of those sites is that they're free. It doesn't cost anything. I assume they get their money from their advertisers, and so you get all of these tools in your toolbox without expending any money.
Pat, thank you so much for all that great information.
Thank you.
I would definitely tell our customers to check out your blog. And,
awesome.
Really, it's the information you've given to us today is invaluable, so thank you so much.
Thank you. It was fun. Thanks.
So, again, I'm Nick Regine, the professor of crystal, answering all your crystal application questions. We look forward to bringing you new episodes featuring fun, creative, and easy ways to use Swarovski elements. Remember to visit our website at www.createyourstyle.com, and please share your designs on our Facebook fan page and follow us on Pinterest. We also welcome your postings, comments, and questions.